Very good. Well, tonight we will be speaking with world traveler, third Dan Taekwondo practitioner, yoga master, somebody that I have known for most of her life, and that is Nina Park. And she's calling me in from Hong Kong. It's 11:30 at night here and 11:30 there in the morning.
There we go. Okay.
Very good. How are you?
Hi. Good, good. How are you doing?
Good, good. It's good to speak to you. It's very good to speak to you in this context, and it's a little different. It's a little different.
Yeah, really different.
So it's the because I'm challenged. It's the morning there by you, right? It's about an 12
Yeah,
hours difference,
it's
right?
12 hours ahead of you guys out
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. How's everything? Good.
Yeah. Everything is good. Yeah, COVID has been really subsided here. So
Good.
we had the third wave and we're now better. Yeah,
Good.
everything is going really well.
Very, very good. And the weather there cools off around now. It's not that
It
oppressive
does
heat.
cool off, but it never really cools off because it's
Oh,
like tropical weather.
okay.
So it does get nicer, so to say. So the best time to come would be like I always say the winter time for New Yorkers, because it's really beautiful. It's like that nice airy but not
That's
too
great.
not cold. So
That's great.
yeah.
Interestingly enough, as our demographic for our program and for the magazine has grown, South Korea is number two, Great Britain is number three, and Hong Kong actually is top six, maybe in terms of five to six,
Really?
in terms of readership and listenership.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they've
I
moved
see
up.
that there are a lot. Yeah, there are a lot of people. I see little kids running around in their Taekwondo uniforms, and I also see just a lot of people practicing like in the parks and stuff.
Sure.
So
We just
yeah,
had a
it's so
big boost
interesting.
in the Philippines because we had
Yeah.
a guest on who was 1988. He actually was a bronze medalist from the Philippines the year that your dad coached the Olympic team here. And he's a movie star now in the Philippines. He's
Oh,
like a
really?
big martial arts movie star. His name is Mansoor.
Oh, that's so
So yeah, so
cool.
all of a sudden we had like a big. He's got a huge following. So all of a sudden the Philippines maybe jumped up to four, and then Hong Kong's like five.
Wow,
So
wow. That's really cool.
So I wanted to give you an opportunity for the people that aren't familiar with you. I did a little
Yeah.
intro, but to introduce yourself, give a little bit about your background, and then what I wanted to lead into in the time that we have, which was a little under 30 minutes, I wanted to talk a little bit about the for most Taekwondo practitioners, they don't know anything about yoga. They don't practice yoga. They know it,
Right.
they understand what it is from the standpoint of seeing it, but what would be the benefit
Right.
to the Taekwondo practitioner? And because you have the ability to be, I'm sure a lot of Taekwondo yoga practitioners and teachers don't have the martial arts background. So you have both.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
so let's start out with just introducing yourself. So you are obviously Nina Park, and I mentioned to
Hello,
the
yes,
folks
I'm
that
Nina Park.
I know you for virtually your whole life, and that you
Yes,
are a third Dan Taekwondo practitioner.
yes, yes,
You are a K-pop star, a
yes.
musician, a world
Well,
traveler.
I was.
Once always, right?
Singer, songwriter.
Singer, songwriter.
Yeah. Yes,
Certainly a
a
musician.
K-pop
From the
artist.
time you were young, you were always a musician, a
Yes,
world traveler, and you are a
yes,
yoga practitioner and a yoga instructor. I'm not sure what the
yes.
proper term is because I'm ignorant, but you're a yoga instructor.
Yeah, so there are yoga instructors, so and then there are yoga teachers. So yoga instructors actually are those who teach yoga like it's modern yoga like it's a workout, like it's a
Okay.
fitness routine. You'll see it at the gyms, you'll see it, at different places, serving yoga. But yoga teachers, on the other hand, also teach the background, the philosophy of yoga and where it comes from, all of the dating back like from the beginning of time, basically. So
And
these are passed down information and knowledge from ancient like sages and yogis and gurus. So
okay.
yeah.
So how does that's very interesting. So and that is rings very true to me because then we study them again when people can study fighting and they can study the martial arts and they can study MMA.
Yes.
But when we study, as you know, when we study Taekwondo in the tutelage of your dad and in the tutelage of your
Ah, yes,
late
my
uncle,
father.
um, we study philosophy and we study the history and we study the meaning. It isn't just the physical aspects of it; it's the philosophical, the historical, and
Yes,
all of those things as well.
absolutely. Um, the differences, I would say, between Taekwondo and yoga is that I feel that Taekwondo, it's more of that warrior spirit. So you can really bring it back to, let's say, like King Arthur and his knights. So it was there it was developed more on that, the high end spectrum of protecting the kingdom, right? Back in the day, historically speaking. Yoga, on the other hand, it's not necessarily like a fighting, like, it's not that type of art. It's more of a spiritually, like, enlightenment is what you would want to reach when practicing yoga. So there's a lot of different things that our bodies in itself, we're born with this one body that we're capable of that we just don't tap into because most of us in this modern day are not able, we don't learn this stuff in school. It's not,
Sure.
these teachings were passed down from generation to generation to generation, just from teacher to student. And now over the past 50 years, even like more so in the US than in Asia, actually. So it's more popular here now, up and coming now. But in the States, a lot of the teachers from India went to the States and they had really worked on, promoting what yoga is about. And so it's modern yoga, it's very different from what yoga really is about. But we teach more of the spirituality aspect and meditation, and the reason why we go into these yoga postures. They're postures, not poses to show off. It's to find your. There's so much to talk about. I can go on
Sure,
forever.
sure, that's great.
But you really want to find that peace of mind. So with that stillness of mind, you work on these postures so that your body is loose enough to actually stay in meditation for hours at a time, for days at a time even. So it was not necessarily always there, the physical aspect. It's more modern.
So how long have you been practicing yoga?
I've been practicing yoga for 13 years now.
Wow.
Yes, and this is after. So Taekwondo was more of my formative years, from 3 to like 16, and then I went to become a K-pop singer. So from like 16 to like 24, I was doing all the music and everything. And then when I came back from Korea to the States, I went into yoga. So from 24 to now.
Okay.
Oh, I think I gave up a little too much information about how old I am.
No, no, that's perfect.
Doing the math.
That's perfect. That's no one here can do the math. It's fine. So I have some interesting questions in terms of that, because
Yes.
when you come from a background like you came from a martial arts background and you
Yes.
achieved quite a significant degree. Third Dan is
Yes.
many people fall off after
And
the
it took
first degree.
me much longer than other people because of who my father was
Sure.
and how he would train us. So
Sure,
it took me
absolutely, and
definitely a lot
certainly it's
longer.
a worldwide respected program. But did you find that having that background made you uh, more readily able to enter into the world of yoga, or did you find that sometimes people, you weren't a clean slate, so to speak, because of the fact that you had, to some degree, a background in the martial arts. Did you find that it made it easier or made it more difficult to transition into yoga?
It was actually it's much easier, I would say, than others. But if you do have, so for me, I would say that Taekwondo for that time period of my life, it was great. But I wanted to search a little deeper. And Taekwondo really, it didn't have that for me necessarily. It might have it for other people. But I wanted to go deeper. And yoga for me just opened up so many avenues of, I can't really say enlightenment. I can't say that I'm enlightened, but I definitely would say that my life has changed from doing Taekwondo,
Sure.
to becoming a singer and then to going into yoga. So yeah, it's definitely been it's much easier if you come from a martial arts background because you have that steadiness of that spirit, right? That we learn in martial arts. It's we learn about like, the forceful, powerful, the energy that you create in your body to be able to do. It's not just a kick and a punch.
Right, right,
Of course,
sure.
when you're a kid, that's what it is. But at the end of the day, you're like cultivating this, powerful energy inside of you to kind of come out forcefully. So,
Do you feel that, and again, I don't know how much of a commitment a student would need time wise to, obviously, you are deeply entrenched. But if I had a student who was a Taekwondo practitioner, a Taekwondo student, do you feel that if that student were to take some time to study yoga simultaneously with their Taekwondo practice, that it would make for
absolutely.
a more holistic and complete experience?
Yes, absolutely. I think that yoga is for everyone. It's not just for the yogi or, it does complement those who are more in these types of right now taekwondo has become more of a competitive sport. And so, of course, I have students who come from all different backgrounds and they supplement it as well because of the aspects of stretching, right? When we think of yoga,
Sure.
we think stretching, long held poses. It's a little different, like holding those static poses. It's a different type of energy that you build in your body and a different type of stretch than just doing a normal, taekwondo workout. So I definitely do think that yoga is definitely for everyone. Even if you don't want this spiritual aspect, just on the physical side, to get the stretching and to get really just more you're understanding your body a bit better.
Sure.
So I incorporate a lot of like you know body like alignment, like spinal alignment, and which muscles to activate when you're stretching so that it can be an active stretch rather than a passive stretch. And so there's a lot of Pilates aspects that I do teach within my yoga classes. So every yoga teacher is different. We all come from different backgrounds. We find it whenever we find it, and we teach. So for me, I take some of my taekwondo, I take some of my dance background, my
Sure.
musical background, and then the spiritual background as well, and I bring it together and I teach. So um, it's definitely, I would say, I wish I had some taekwondo students to teach here in
Right,
Hong
right, right.
Kong. Yeah,
It
that's
sounds
like
like
what I know. So
with all of your background and your diversity, I mean, it certainly makes for your students. They're very they probably may not understand how lucky they are to, because you're coming from such a rich background of all different things and different areas of the world. So that's pretty exciting.
yes, yes,
Now, let me ask you about, because for me, I have to say that practicing Taekwondo as long as I have, I, during the COVID time, it
yes.
really, really helped me mentally to get through, because I spent a lot of time. I spent every morning at 4 or 5 in the morning out in the park practicing Taekwondo by myself, being able to
Wonderful.
physically burn off some things, but mentally, obviously, at the same time. How did you find that yoga helped you personally and helped you to help others to deal with the stresses of the pandemic, which I know in Hong Kong was hit extremely hard, as hard as any place
Yes.
in the world.
Right. Actually, actually, Hong Kong was actually a lot better than other places. And then the third wave hit, and the third wave was unfortunate.
Sure.
We're getting past that, like right now in these past week or
Sure.
so. But yeah,
You know,
so I did pivot my teaching to online teaching. And so I did have a chance to still connect with my students. Um, because I've been doing yoga for so long, it actually was fine for me. I'm very like level-headed, very like I have no like anxiety. Like when I was younger, probably in my 20s,
sure.
we all go through, we all have like all these ideas of what we should be and like more anxiety. But I think that practicing yoga throughout my 20s, into my 30s, I it really had helped me. The breathing techniques of pranayama. Pranayama is breath work, especially with these COVID times. And I have a lot of new students who are actually a lot older, in their 50s and 60s, even in their 70s. And because they're scared to go out, they were scared
Sure.
to go out and to even breathe in the air. So I teach them a lot about how to control their breath. And in yoga, our breath is our life force energy. And so we don't just breathe to breathe. We breathe normally anyway. Everybody is going to breathe to
Sure.
live. But in yoga, we learn there's so many different techniques, breathing techniques, to really enhance your the mental like capabilities, your whole central nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So
Sure.
yeah, so I was teaching a lot of that, and I feel like that more so, the breathing calm people down rather than even the movements. I would just teach pranayama classes and
That's great.
meditation.
I just
Yeah.
finished, actually, I literally just finished reading James Nestor's book called Breathe. It's
Okay.
called
Yeah.
the Science, which is literally all about the how,
Yeah, he's really famous.
yes, and his,
How did you like it?
I think it's great, and it has a lot of breathing exercises in it. So I don't know how much
Yes.
of that overlaps, but just I did never really was conscious of the fact that he talks a lot about
Nobody
the
is.
destruction of being a mouth breather, which
Yes. Yeah.
which I really was
Most of
never
us
thought
are.
about.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's very, very,
Absolutely.
very interesting in terms of what you're talking about. I highly recommend it. I thought uh, it was really informative for me. Probably for you, it probably wouldn't have the same value because you're
Yes.
much more entrenched in it. But for me, it was really eye opening. It makes, again, as you were talking, I was thinking about the book, because you're 100% right. Is it breathing? Obviously, there's probably nothing more important that we do, but we don't think about it on a regular
Yeah.
basis. It's like
Exactly.
walking.
It's like it's actually we as like human beings, we are magic basically. We are capable of healing our bodies and also of destroying and
Right.
creating a lot of illnesses as well. And in Western medicines, it's only about how to suppress, the things the ailments that pop up. But in Eastern sciences and Eastern medicines, we learn how to really overcome, and that the body is a healing power. Body is
Sure.
everything. We're able to. We're energy. We're filled with so much more than just. We're just the body. We're just products, and we're
Sure.
going to kind of. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that,
No, I
but
love it. I
yeah,
love it. I love it.
yeah,
I think you're right. Let me ask you, in terms of, for me, obviously, understanding the martial arts the way I do in Taekwondo. I shouldn't say the martial arts, but it's a general
yeah,
framework. If I were somebody were to say to me, my son, my friend wants to join a martial arts school. What do I look
yeah,
for? How do I know that I'm going to a reputable place? I would be able to answer that. But I see, again, I'm an outsider, right? So I see different kinds of yoga here. I see Bikram, I
yes,
see Hat, I see, all different names that I don't even fully understand. How would somebody who was interested in becoming involved in yoga know, A, whether or not they were going to, how could they locate a reputable place, and B, what type of yoga would be the right type of yoga for them?
Okay. That's only if you just give it a go. You have to just go to any studio, really, and just kind of run around. That's why when I first started in yoga, I was on ClassPass, and I'm still on ClassPass, and I am able to run around to different studios and see what teachers I like and who really resonate with me. That's what you need. You need some to find. It's that search, right? You can't just be like, okay, I'm going to go to this place because it's reputable, and it has to fit you. It has to fit where you are in your life. So I would definitely say, you know, you should search. You should look around and see what you're looking for. Of course, when you're a beginner, there are teachers who do teach beginner yoga really well, in the sense of like what you're supposed to be looking at, not getting into the deeper aspects of like
Sure.
spirituality and all of that stuff that will come with time. But how to really engage the proper muscles. And I have a lot of beginners. Obviously, I'm a new yoga teacher here in Hong Kong. I've only been teaching. Actually, I'm celebrating my 1 year anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary.
This
That's
month.
great.
So thank you. And so I have a lot of beginners, and I'm able to really guide them through what to engage, why you have to be in alignment. Our bodies, if we're in a little bit, if we're a little like misaligned and then we're stretching out, you're going to stretch out like that. Our body is compromised, right? We're able to stay in this pose and then be comfortable there, right? So you have to, even if it's uncomfortable, you have to align it first and then stretch it out and build that strength from there. Once again, you're healing yourself back into alignment. So yeah, I think that people should go and search. It's a search. It's not just you can't just. It's not just one or the other. You have to really try.
There has to be a personal feeling that it
has. Yeah, it is. It's
like
a very
a
personal thing.
Right? Somebody can
Yes.
have all the degrees in the world, but if you don't gel with the doctor, then you're never going to get anything out of it.
Right.
That's great.
And to understand that there's so many teachers out there. You have to, you really have to. It's like a personal search, right?
Do you find, in your experience and in the time that you've been involved in yoga, that because again, I'm trying to tie it all in as a parallel to martial arts and Taekwondo.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find that many times people get involved in Taekwondo for certain reasons, and those are not the reasons that they stay, and those are not the reasons that they enjoy. I got involved because I was bullied in school, but now it became where I got involved because I wanted to learn self-defense, and it evolves into something. And generally, the ones that evolve are the people that really have the long-term relationship with it. Do you find that that's true with yoga, that most people get involved maybe more for physical things?
Absolutely, because that is what is promoted, right? In modern day, like in modern yoga, they promote the poses, like some people, it's like the ego, and they're like, oh, I could do those poses, and then or like, oh, I'm flexible, yoga is for me. And it's really not about that. It's that finding that balance. Luckily I was super I'm kind of overly flexible. Like I was always known to, like, my nickname was like a rubber band, because I can just go into all these positions. But and then I had the strength from like Taekwondo training and everything. But even when I was that flexible, if you don't engage the proper muscles, you're definitely going to injure yourself. You're going to hurt your spine. You're going to hurt your hip flexors. You're bound to hurt yourself. And so yoga is so great because you're able to really figure out what you're doing and focus in on. You're not just kicking and punching crazy, trying to move your body like in a cardio sort of way. You're in these poses for like extensive, long periods of time, in order to actually in yoga, in order to really say that you've mastered a pose, is to breathe in and out deeply in that pose for at least 20 times, 20
Oh, wow.
breaths.
Okay.
That's when you can say that you've mastered that pose. And deep, like think about how slow a really deep inhale and a really deep exhale in upside down positions, in these weird, like,
Right.
twisted and balanced positions. That's really difficult. So, um, yeah, back to what you
That's
were
great.
saying.
No,
Yeah.
that's very interesting. It's interesting. I see a lot of parallels, and I've really been interested in, again, it's a matter of the fact that I really do think I listen to
Yes.
people in the martial arts world, and they really don't have a great understanding of it. But to me, there seems to be a great opportunity for for great synergy
The
for those.
The biggest opportunity, I would say, I think that for martial artists, for Taekwondoists especially, it's a really great balance, um, because you're able to really bridge like all these different gaps in between. And I think that that has something to do with like, and people think it's like religious, so they don't want to do yoga, and it's really not. It's not religious at all. It's like spirituality isn't religion. Spirituality is
Right.
something that we all have inside of us. Maybe some of us haven't tapped into it. Maybe some of us, just have no idea where to begin because you weren't brought up in a spiritual or religious household. But even for people who are religious, it's such a beautiful, uplifting experience.
That's great. That's great. That really you really helped to clear up a lot of things. In the interest of time, I wanted to give you the opportunity. If people wanted to find, first of all, I wanted to find out from you what's in your near and distant future. Are you planning on staying in Hong Kong and teaching yoga? Are you planning on taking that around the world? Are you planning
Yeah,
on?
yeah. So I am planning on taking it around the world. So for me, I have my yoga is called Glow Flow Yoga by Nina, and right now I've expanded into these immersive classes, um, called the Immersive Glow Experience. So these are experiences for people who, you know, it's a little different. I have to say, and I have to point this out because yoga is about withdrawing the senses. So there are aspects, and this is the pratyahara. So there's 8 limbs of yoga, and the asana practice, the posture practice, is only the third limb. And you go into all these different then there's pranayama, there's pratyahara. So pratyahara is actually withdrawal of senses. So you're not, not taking part of like your sense of like taste, and food and the desires and all the things that are the worldly desires, right? So, but my experience is we take all the senses. So it's very like highly, so I have, it's basically, it's going to be a 360 room of projected screens, and they project different like nature, different kind of scenery, and with music. So it takes a lot of time because it's produced.
Sure.
I'm like a DJ. I do the playlist to go exactly with the setting and the surrounding and exactly in a certain amount of time. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I use aromatherapy. I use great music, great soundtrack, and meditation, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of pranayama practice. So it's an all-around practice that takes you into this, really immersive experience to bring you back to, yourself, and to try to withdraw all the senses. So it's yeah, that's what I'm working on now. And then I'm trying to take this out. So eventually I'll go back to the States because my family is in New York and
Sure.
Seattle. So I do want to take this back with me, but I'm in Hong Kong. So
Sure. Well,
what can you do? I'm gonna start it here. So yeah, I
that's
have
wonderful.
these classes going on right now in Hong Kong.
That's wonderful, and we'll link up with the when we post this. We'll link up
Yes.
your
So right
website.
now it's mostly my Instagram page that you
Sure,
can contact me through, and then I'll give you all the information, and all my schedules is on there as well. I still do a lot of online classes, and I think that that is the new trend
sure,
going forward. I think that unfortunately, I don't think that this is the last that we're going to hear of like this type of COVID kind of epidemic. I think that there
sure.
is going to, yeah, it's
Sure, I
going
think
to
it's given us a good footprint and blueprint for
how to go
response
towards it. Yeah, yeah.
of different things. So
And it's
it's
great. Everyone was able to kind of zen out in a way, right, by themselves. Even if it was, I heard that it was very difficult for a lot of people who are not like you and I, practitioners of Taekwondo or
sure.
yoga, who don't have that, who are kind of still, all over the place, mentally and physically. And I heard that it's been a very difficult time, and my heart goes out to them. I really want to just like reach out to
Yeah,
everyone and be like, come try
yeah.
yoga, take a free class,
No,
like, let me
absolutely.
help you change your life.
No,
Like,
it's so much better for people than to, to sit around. People are just consuming. Like I was looking in the food, the snack segment of the food market is just like
oh my
gone through
goodness.
the roof because people are just sitting home and
That's
watching.
the worst.
Yeah, I
It's
know,
the worst.
and it leads to
Eat
depression.
real food.
Right, right. It leads to depression, and it leads to all sorts of,
Yeah.
people start to feel worse about themselves and
But
depressed.
even like just the breathing, why it's so important to do those home workouts, even if it's not yoga or taekwondo, it's that concept of breathing, going back to the pranayama,
Sure.
the concept of breathing, like breath that we learn in yoga, it's really opens up, and we scientifically we know this as well. It leads to more oxygen in the brain.
Sure.
Like you want your mind to function well, right? It's not just about your body. It's about breathing and eating the proper things to have a healthy mind, have a healthy mindset, have a healthy body, and like all the organs in there. You're breathing in the pranic energy to massage all the organs so that everything is functioning properly. So
That's great. That's great. It's exciting for me because I love to speak to people that are have a mastery of the things that they're involved in and go
oh,
deep.
I'm no way a
No,
master. Oh my
no,
goodness.
but you're understanding but also to be able to do it with somebody who to see that you've evolved from being somebody who I knew from being a little girl
Yeah,
when we met
yeah.
to see your, I know that you've had an exciting life, but to listen to you talk about this subject matter and with such passion and such proficiency is very
I don't
exciting.
do anything if I'm not passionate about it and I really believe it. So people
That's
are
a
like,
family
"Oh, you'd
trait
be
of
a
yours.
great salesperson," and
Yeah,
I'm like, "Oh my God, I'd be terrible." Like, unless I really believe in it, then I'm
sure.
like, "Okay, I can sell this."
That is a family trait of all of your family members. They are all very, very, no, nothing is ever done. It's always done very deep and very, very,
Yes.
very thorough, which is great. I have great
You
respect.
have to find the core. Things have to be real and truthful, and because we're all in this together, right? It's not
Absolutely.
like, oh, I'm here by myself. And even if it is, even if I am like the richest person in the universe, like you still are giving something back. We're all in this together, right?
Absolutely.
And so I love that. I'm not trying to make a gazillion dollars out of teaching yoga, right? I'm trying to
Sure.
really help people because it helped me, and I believe in it because I've traveled the world. I've seen maybe too many things, and like it's made me very confused, over the years.
Sure.
And now I'm like, wow, like I could take all of that and really make it beneficial for everyone.
That is what makes you the greatest salesperson for it, is because you believe in it, and because
Yeah, yeah.
it's had that life changing. So I always say that about myself for Taekwondo. It's very easy. It's easy for me to be passionate about it and talk
Yeah, yeah,
about
you
it
are. Like,
because I've seen it's it's helped my life in so many ways, and it's helped my family.
you should go into yoga too.
So I'm definitely interested in.
You should try some.
Well,
Yeah. Well,
this
actually, in the future, the plan was, my brothers have taken over my father's Taekwondo school. So I
Sure.
wanted to actually put them together. So we'll have, a big warehouse, and we'll have the section of yoga, and
Sure.
then we'll have Taekwondo, and whoever wants to do, maybe like the men and like the children, and then we'll have like the ladies or even men. I have so many men in my class these
That's
days,
awesome.
more and more picking up. So, and actually, it's actually started by men. So more men should do it.
That's
More
great.
more Taekwondoists should
I'm
do
with you.
it.
I'm with you on it. So I want to thank you for the time tonight. And I look forward to speaking again. I
Thank
look forward to seeing
you.
you when you're in New York, but I certainly look forward to speaking to you again. I follow you on
Yes,
Instagram and all
yes,
that. And
yes.
we will be posting all this. I'll let you know when this is, when this is gonna air, once it's all edited up. There'll
Yeah,
be a
yeah.
video and an audio. But thank you so much for the time. I know you're busy. I know
Thank
you have a
you.
lot of
Thank
things
you
going on.
so much. This
So
was amazing. And there's so much more that I wanted to talk about and I couldn't. And I'm
well, we'll
like,
follow up. No, we'll follow up. We'll follow up down the road with something more.
okay.
I wanted to give people the
We could
overview.
go deeper into like the philosophy and like the history.
Yeah, this is
Yes.
sort of the yoga 101, the intro. So we'll get into the
Okay.
rest. So,
All
but
right. The
thank you.
intro. The
Yes,
intro.
thank you very much. It's wonderful to see you, and I thank you very much for the time. All
Thank
right,
you so much.
all
It
right.
was
Have a
really
great
great
day.
to speak to you. I'll see you in New York for my
Hopefully
brother's
soon, and
wedding,
hopefully when all
hopefully.
this madness is over. So,
Yes,
thank
yes.
you.
Thank you. Bye.